Welcome to the ultimate beginner's guide to top lane for League of Legends. This guide is for people who already have an understanding of League, but are ready to focus on maining top as their role. If you are an absolute beginner of the game itself, we recommend you watch our ultimate beginner's guide first, which will tell you everything you need to know about the game in general to get started. And with that said, let's get into it. Now, this video is going to give you a great baseline to get you up and running in the top lane, including trading fundamentals, wave control, how to easily punish your opponent's mistakes, and of course, how to abuse quests, increased XP, and the unique level 20 level cap for top lane. But if you truly want to take your top lane carry potential to the next level, then you need to check out the Top Lane Essentials course on our website. The truth is, there's so much more to learn than what can fit into this single YouTube video. The original version of this script was over an hour long just because there's so much valuable advice to give, and that was without even going into advanced topics. Where we can put all of that extra advice is on our website for the players who really care about improving their game. Our Top Lane Essentials course covers all the topics we'll introduce to you today in a far greater depth and teaches you the next levels of those concepts, like how to maximize your posturing, which is a trading concept that we simply couldn't fit into this video, but is a key concept to leveling up as a top laner. And if you've encountered matchups that feel completely impossible and unfair to play against, like Darius, Yorick, or Alawi, make sure you check out our How to Counter OP Top Laners course. It'll show you all the tricks you need to know to exploit the weaknesses of the most frustrating top laners to play against. It even explains what the hell Kled even does. But wait, there's more! Not only do you get access to all of our best courses, you also unlock full access to our live commentaries uploaded by challenger players, where they take you through their decision making in real time to show you how to carry with your chosen champion in your elo, with new uploads every week. And the best part is, you can try all of this completely risk-free thanks to our money-back guarantee. If you don't climb at least 5 divisions while actively using our service, you'll get your money back. You can unlock all of this and more with an exclusive one-time discount in the link below, so become a SkillCapped member and get the rank you've always wanted. Top lane is probably the hardest role to get into in League of Legends. If you don't know what you're doing, it can literally feel impossible to play. The two main reasons for this are that most matchups are melee versus melee, so going for last hits forces you to interact with your lane opponent, making it very easy for experienced top laners to punish newer players. And then there's the length of the lane itself. Because it's so incredibly long, if you fall behind, you cannot easily stay safe from all-ins and ganks at your tower without missing on all the gold and experience from minions. And the top lane quest makes it even more important to not fall behind, because your opponent will just become unstoppable. However, and this is crucial, when you know what you're doing, top lane becomes incredibly rewarding for the exact same reasons. There's incredible 1v1 skill expression, and you can solo carry as a level 20 unstoppable raid boss. Let's start with who to play. The primary classes you'll see are bruisers, tanks, and occasionally ranged top laners. Bruisers and tanks thrive in top lane because they can survive ganks, fight in massive minion waves, and even turn 1v2 situations around. Certain ranged champions perform well in the top lane by playing to punish the typical melee matchup, and the ranged champions you'll typically see in top lane are not only the ones who perform well in extended trades, but also have the abilities to escape or disengage, like mobility, stuns, etc. The sheer variety of champion classes that can be played top means you will face wildly different threats every game. This is why we recommend building a small but strategic champion pool. Ideally, 2 to 3 champions that cover each other's weaknesses and match up well against popular lane bullies. But most importantly, they are champions you find fun to play. Trying to play a champion that you don't connect with or relate to in any way is like trying to walk around with your shoes on the wrong feet. It's gonna feel awkward and uncomfortable, and you're not going to enjoy it. Really, you're just nerfing yourself for no reason. For bruisers, some of the easiest champions to start with are Darius, Garen, and Set. All 3 of these guys generally are great early duelers that can punish an opponent who takes one step too close to you. Our pick of the 3 is Set. Set loves to fight and skirmish. He has regen based on his missing health, which allows you to recover from bad trades, or just keep whittling your opponent down while you regen back up. For tanks, we think 3 of the easiest to begin with are Malphite, Cho'Gath, and Dr. Mundo. Dr. Mundo is an Omega scaling champion. There's not much in the game that can stop a level 20 Dr. Mundo. Bonus point for the Madman of Zorn is that you can also play him in the jungle when you have to autofill, so you can still be on a familiar champ. And if you want to be the bane of every top laner's existence and play ranged top laners, we like Swain. Swain is primarily chosen as a support these days, but is a great top lane pick. He has a fairly unique combination of having a range advantage to punish melee matchups, but can still build as a bruiser or a tank in the late game that also puts out a good amount of damage and CC for your team. And just like Dr. Mundo, when you have to autofill, you can take Swain to support, bot, or mid and have a familiar champ in an unfamiliar role. Now that you've got your champion pool sorted, let's dive into laning. Laning boils down to two interconnected concepts, trading and wave control. They are so intertwined that it's hard to separate them as topics. First, we're going to teach you all the concepts of trading in the top lane. One of the most frustrating things about learning top lane is not knowing what trades you should be taking, and it can be a trial by fire. In a melee versus melee matchup, you have to get right up close to your opponent just to be able to last hit. So it's inevitable that you have to fight. Okay, so when do we fight or trade? Or how do we fight or trade? What does it all mean? Generally, you can break up the types of trades that exist down into two categories: long trades and short trades. The naming scheme is crazy creative, I know. You can loosely categorize long trades as any kind of engagement that lasts for 8 seconds or longer. Lots of top lane champions like to take extended trades in general. Short trades are, you guessed it, anything shorter than that. But the purpose for short trading is much different. Short trades are preferred for burstier champions with longer cooldowns. By trying to only take short trades, you can whittle down your opponent's health bar over the course of several trades before they get low enough that you can go for an all in and try to kill them. Without those initial trades, you'll never get your opponent's health bar low enough to be in the kill zone. If their health bar isn't in the kill zone when you go all in, what's going to happen is that they're going to be staring at you after all of your bursts and then just keep smacking you repeatedly with much more damage than what you have, and you die. And this is where the top lane's length becomes a primary factor in so many champions needing to be good in long trades, because the additional length of the lane literally makes your trades able to go for longer durations. One of the fundamental principles of good trades is attacking on windows of opportunity. I want you to remember that phrase. It's going to come up a lot, and it's really, really important. These windows open at various points throughout the laning phase, such as when you have level leads, cooldown advantage, and we'll get to those very shortly. But first, the simplest window of opportunity, and the first that you'll be able to act on, is when your opponent last hits. Whenever your opponent goes in for a last hit, you will have a small window of opportunity to attack them without them being able to attack you back. And it's simply because of the time it takes to complete an attack animation. To be able to capitalize on this, you want to secure your last hits first. Then, whenever you have no immediate last hits to secure for yourself, you stand within your attack range of the minions your opponent wants to last hit, essentially like a bodyguard. And then as they walk up for the last hit, you attack them back at the same time. This forces your opponent to make a decision as they walk up to last hit. 1, do they commit to last hitting the minion, or 2, do they attack you back instead? If they decide to go for the last hit, then you've gotten some free harass, lowering their health bar with no retaliation. Now you've created a small advantage to keep building on. If they get greedy and decide to try and fight you after getting the last hit, then you start that fight with an advantage. If they decide to ignore the minion and attack you as the bodyguard, then they're just giving up the CS. You now have the decision to make, but the two choices that you have can both net you an advantage. Option 1, you just back off and don't fight. You already got your CS, so now they've just missed theirs for no reason. Option 2, you do fight, and this is where you know you can look for an even trade, but again, you've already gotten your CS, and they've sacrificed theirs to fight you. Provided you can trade evenly, you've again created another advantage here. Now, Of course, this is League of Legends, so there's many other factors to consider, but this trading principle is just one of the tools that you can use to slowly tip the scales to your advantage. If you fall behind early, you're likely to get completely zoned out of XP range by your opponent for the rest of laning phase, causing you to fall further and further behind. And you can't engage them once you're behind because that will just cause you to fall even further behind. Instead, you must patiently wait for your minions to come to you to farm. Do not make the mistake of trying to fight your way back into the game once you're behind. This is a surefire way to just feed your opponent. Instead, just cut your losses, prioritize on farming as much as you can from a safe distance, trying not to miss out on any XP either. A 300 gold lead at the start of the game is massive. A 300 gold lead 20 minutes into the game is tiny. Luckily for you, we've created a new tool that makes it extremely easy to understand all trading matchups in the top lane. Here's how it works. Along this axis, we have plotted each top lane champion. Where they are plotted is according to their preferred trade length. On the left is the shortest trade possible, and as you move along the axis to the right, preferred length of trade increases. On the far right are the best champions for extended trades. All you need to do is think of this like a scale. If your opponent is to the left of your champion, then you should look for long trades and avoid short trades. And if your opponent is on the right of your champion, then you're going to lose in extended trades, so you want to look for short trades instead. Even if your champion is pretty far along this scale, suggesting that you're really good in long trades, it doesn't matter if the champion you're versing is further along the scale than you. If that's the case, you typically want to avoid extended trades against them. But that's not all. This is of course League of Legends, so there's many factors to consider. Which runes a champion has will change their position on that scale too. If they have Conqueror, they're going to climb the scale and get better at long trades, whereas Electrocute signals that they're looking for shorter, burstier trades, and so on and so forth. But it's not only runes that can change where your trading strength lies on the scale, it's also dictated by your level and abilities unlocked. That's something that you can only learn from experience. It's impossible to include every situation in this video. Word of caution, this scale should only be used as a guide for when you are in a new or unfamiliar matchup. By playing through these matchups and gaining that experience, you'll learn the nuances that you can exploit, and that's the key to winning every lane. Take a look at Set in this clip and look at how he applies everything we've talked about. Even though Set ranks very highly on our scale for extended trades, he will lose out to Darius. Knowing this Set spends the early laning phase only looking for short trades, using his abilities and 1 to 2 auto attacks, then disengaging and resetting, not allowing Darius's bleed procs to stack up. This nets him favorable trades that allows him to eventually tower dive Darius for first blood. And if it weren't for a misclick or maybe a state of panic, he could have made it out alive. However, this is not always the case. Sometimes you'll be destined to lose both long and short trades against your opponent in lane. If it is the case that you are to lose all forms of trade, then there is an advantage somewhere else to be found. You might have a character like Kayle who scales incredibly hard into the late game. To balance that, your early trades are going to be weak and it might not be worth fighting at all. You just want to farm up, get as much XP and gold as you can safely so that you can eventually turn the tides against your opponents. Which brings us to our next window of opportunity, utilizing your level advantage. This is a key trading concept and not just for when you're miles ahead. Gaining a level lead even momentarily is a window of opportunity for you. The first instance where you can get a true advantage in lane is fleeting but is important, the level 2 power spike. Level 2 is entirely controlled and predictable and a condition that you can play around every game. To hit level 2, you need the XP from 7 minions. That's the entire first wave plus 1 minion from the second wave. By clearing the first minion wave before your opponent, you can make it so you can kill your 7th minion before your opponent. Watch for the moment when you're 1 minion away from level 2 and position aggressively. The instant you ding, you'll have a 3 to 5 second window on average where you're twice as strong as your opponent. Now, hitting level 2 isn't the be all and end all, but it does does create a window of opportunity, especially in lower elos where enemies don't respect it properly. With a full ability advantage, you can't lose that trade, and sometimes you'll secure first blood. If the enemy respects it and backs off, great, you've established lane dominance. If they don't, you get a massive trade or even a kill, which can set you up for the whole game. Take a look at this clip with Volibear versus Kayle. Volibear enters the lane and immediately begins to create a minion lead. By the time the second wave comes, all 3 of his caster minions are still alive. He's going to hit level 2 much earlier than Kayle. He kills his 7th minion and hits level 2. Kayle still needs to kill 2 more minions to reach level 2 herself. Desperate to neutralize the advantage, she walks up to last hit, and as soon as she moves in, Volibear pounces. E, Q, auto, and Kayle is taken down to half health. We're not even 2 minutes into the game yet, and Kayle is already behind on levels, CS, and health. This pressure from Volibear continued and built up so much that Kayle had to recall under tower, but she was so low that Zed was able to come in and easily kill her. But don't rely on winning your lane through this gimmick alone. It's just one of the many moments throughout your laning phase that you can use to identify a window of opportunity for a good trade, which includes any time you have a level advantage, with the biggest breakpoints being at level 1 to 2 and level 5 to 6. At level 1 to 2, you have double the amount of abilities as your opponent, and at level 5 to 6, you have an ult versus no ult. So make sure you're paying attention to your XP bar in your HUD and posturing for trades whenever you're close to leveling up and gaining a level lead above your opponent. A strategy that you can use to gain level advantages throughout the laning phase is the slow push, which leads to situations where you can guarantee to have killed more minions than your opponent, and we'll go into that shortly when we discuss slow pushing in depth, along with the other wave control strategies that you can use to create windows of opportunity out of thin air. There's another main window of opportunity that will frequently arise in lane, and that's to do with cooldowns. Champion abilities for almost every top laner are a major part of their damage threshold, and when they're on cooldown, that champion becomes less favored in any trade. For example, if we just used our primary trading ability like Mordekaiser's Q, now your opponent has a window of opportunity for a favorable trade. So as the Mordekaiser player, you need to recognize that you're more vulnerable and need to back off temporarily. Then when your cooldowns back up, you can repost to something more aggressive. Experienced players can turn lanes around by using all of these fundamental principles to find trade opportunities that they are favored in, even in unfavored matchups. Understanding cooldown timers and ability windows separates good laners from great ones. When an enemy wastes their main ability on the wave, that's your cue to step up and punish. Okay, so now you know all about the fundamentals of trading and you know the types of trades you want to aim for, but how can we force these kind of trades and create windows of opportunity for ourselves to find our preferred trades? Well, this is the key to unlock all of your top lane matchups, and it's all to do with wave control. Remember I said they'd be tied together? The lane is so long and isolated, whoever controls the wave controls the lane. I want you to imagine all of the minions on each wave on a scale, each minion weighing as much as their current health. At the start of the game, the minion waves arrive dead even. But as soon as something influences the health of a minion, like an attack from a champion, that minion wave now weighs less. And pretty much everything you and your opponent do in lane will either tip the scales of the minion waves in one way or the other. Everything, including attacking your opponent. Well, how could that be if you never even touch the minions? Well, something important to know is that whenever you attack an opponent, nearby minions will stop attacking your minion wave and will begin targeting you as an effort to protect their champion. Just think of it the same way tower aggro works. You're fine to walk in range as long as you have your own minions. That's what your opponent's minions will target. But as soon as you attack your opponent, the minions in range will re-aggro onto you, just like towers. The reason that this affects wave control is because each attack that is focused on you instead of your minions contributes to a disparity in the total health of each minion wave, tipping the scales. Your minions
minions keep attacking theirs, but their minions are attacking you. Their minion wave's health is going down, but you're tanking all of the damage for your minion wave. You see, it only takes one little event to get a lane pushing one way or the other. Once a wave outweighs another by only a small amount, it will inevitably grow in size until it is reset, either by champions clearing waves or by crashing like an avalanche into a tower. And we can utilize this knowledge to our advantage, which brings us to our first fundamental wave control concept and tool, the slow push. Slow pushing is an easy way to build an early lead in the top lane. Simply, it's manipulating the minion waves so that eventually yours grows to be much larger than a single wave, slowly but inevitably pushing into the enemy tower. Creating a slow push comes with several advantages as well that you can use to create pressure, win trades, and windows of opportunity in lane. It's quite simple to set up a slow push. You just need to follow the fundamental idea of tipping the scales. It's so simple to set up, in fact, you can even start doing it from the very first wave. As the minion waves arrive, simply walk up and look for an immediate attack onto one of the minions. You've already tipped the scales in a meaningful way. Now, the more you attack the opponent's minions, the faster your minions will push. But we don't necessarily want a fast push, we want a slow push. And the slower, the better, generally. However, our opponent is likely going to have something to say about this, especially if they've watched this video as well, and will attempt to clear out your wave. Your goal is just to try and keep your minion wave slightly healthier than your opponent's, which means matching the rate at which your opponent is damaging minions and just doing a little more. Ideally, what you're looking for is a 1 to 2 minion advantage. That slight advantage, if consistently held, will eventually grow into a bigger advantage that will naturally turn into a slow and steady push with a massive wave. So you want to hold on to it as long as possible, because when you have this advantage, you create windows of opportunity that we've already discussed to punish your opponent when they try and last hit. And same for when they try to use their abilities to clear the wave, you can use the window of opportunity created by their ability cooldowns. Firstly, any kind of minion advantage means trades are slightly more in your favor because you will have more minions attacking your opponent than they have attacking you. So as soon as you start to accrue a small minion lead, you can be more aggressive with trades, making it harder for your opponent to come up to last hit. When you create a slow push, you are naturally building up an experience lead. It's unavoidable. Now, if you're building up a slow push, eventually your wave will crash into their tower. Like we said, it's inevitable. A bigger wave will sit under tower for longer, which allows you to recall back to base. And with the changes to home guards this season, that advantage is huge and an easier window to find. So now you see how important wave control is in the top lane and why it's valuable to invest the time to learn about it in depth. If you do want to learn more, go check out our new wave control course on SkillCapped.com that teaches you everything you need to know to master wave control, including the key differences to how waves work differently from past seasons, which is all incredibly important for taking the best recall timings possible so you don't fall behind. Everyone has to recall eventually, so you want to do it at a time where you can minimize your losses. And if you crash a wave under tower, your losses can be as low as, checks notes, 0. That's right, literally nothing. This isn't an infomercial. By recalling while your minions are under their tower, you can essentially get to recall for free. You can come back to lane not having missed any minions because your minions were too damn busy attacking the tower and not your opponent's minions. So after the tower wave is cleared, your opponent's minion wave is still at full health when they meet your next wave. You should recall whenever you have a good window and it will minimize your losses. So here's a simple checklist of when to recall. If your minions are under tower, if you have enough gold for an item, if you don't have a kill threat, and if you're too low to trade, which means you'll lose more by sticking around than resetting, then leave. Look at Zehen here. He gets the kill onto Set and his wave is crashing, but he decides to stick around for the wave under tower. But by the time he backs off, the waves were already resetting and Set is able to crash his wave under tower. Zehen misses out on the XP of 3 minions and the gold of almost a whole wave, 5 minions. This also means the wave is now bouncing towards Set much faster than if Zehen was able to catch and freeze the wave, which would have put Set into a really vulnerable position. But instead, he will soon be able to farm safely again. Zehen has now missed a window of opportunity to extend his lead in a massive way. Luckily for Zehen, Set is going to give it to him anyway. Now, Because Set was able to crash the wave, it will continue bouncing back towards Set, so he just has to be patient and farm safely. Soon enough, he'll have the opportunity to potentially freeze it outside his tower and giving him a pathway back into the game. But Set gets greedy for a cannon minion and Zehen punishes his hubris. And now look at Zehen's recall timing in this instance. He's much quicker to begin recalling this time. He recognizes the wave is going to crash and immediately recalls. Let's look at how much he loses by the time he returns to lane this time. One melee minion, that's it, and the wave is still pushing towards him. There's absolutely no play for Set here right now. Set very naively tries to engage again and gifts Zehen another kill. If Set's minion wave was any closer to tower, he might have gotten away with his life here, but this is the power of wave control in the top lane. It allows you to create windows of opportunity for kills that you wouldn't get otherwise.
Top is a very laning focused role, where most of your impact is just being omega strong. The Riot devs have even stated that the quest is designed to help you fulfill that power fantasy of being an unkillable raid boss. So your main priority should always be learning how to win lane, because if you do, the rest of the game will be easy. You can just walk over the entire enemy team. But if you lose lane, it's extremely punishing and you're just gifting the enemy team a raid boss. It might feel like you can't do anything. Because of this incredibly snowballing nature of top lane, it's important to realize that it's not through big plays that you win lane, it's death by 1,000 cuts. You don't need to make big risky plays to get a lead, and the top lane quest exacerbates this. Force your opponents to miss some XP here, a bit of gold there. Make them recall at a bad time while you recall when you lose nothing. Get an extra plate over them, which is worth more than a whole minion wave, by the way. All of these things are things you want to be doing anyway, but they also help you progress your quest. The carry potential for top lane in Season 16 is crazy. Unlocking your quest first is broken for two reasons. Completing your quest before your opponent means you start getting bonus XP sooner, allowing you to ramp faster and increase your lead further. And two, top laners need less points to complete their quest, meaning if you complete your quest before your opponent, you'll be the first player to complete their quest in the game, which means you have an unanswerable window of opportunity to make a TP play to bot lane or dragon and help your other lane snowball, and there's nothing your opponent can do about it. They just have to watch you go win the game by influencing the rest of the map while they're stuck in top lane trying to finish their quest. All of this funnels towards the fact that you can now reach level 20. Okay, so you've dominated the laning phase. How do I convert my lead in the mid game, I hear you ask? There's many different things you can do in the mid game, including helping push other lanes, grouping for objectives, and split pushing. Here's a simple formula that you can follow to help lead you down the right path. As a top laner in the mid game, your role transitions to being a side laner. You're generally going to have decent wave clear and are good in 1v1 or even 1v2 scenarios when you're fed, and you have the mobility or the takiness to get out of trouble when you need to. So begin pushing your side lane, warding along the way as needed to keep yourself safe, and just keep pushing until someone on the enemy team responds to come and stop you. You say, okay, great, shake hands, let them deal with the side lane push, and instead of engaging with them, you pivot towards the middle of the map, either grouping with your team to siege or take neutral objectives. This can easily create a 5v4 situational advantage for you and your team, and then you can rinse and repeat, but with a few rules to follow. Rule number 1, only extend into enemy territory when your teammates are actively pressuring the map. If all your teammates are in base, the enemy will just 5v1 jump you. 2. Keep track of enemy positions. As you're running to the lane you want to push, take a mental note of every enemy position on the minimap. If there's lots of question marks, proceed with caution. Wait for more info before you end up surrounded by the enemy team. You can see in this clip, Swain commits 2 cardinal sins of split pushing, and Besser decided to back, but Swain decided to keep pushing. And even though he has a big lead, all of Swain's teammates are in base, and he is deep in enemy territory, which paints a big red target on his back. With only knowledge of Tahm Kench and Lux on the map pushed up mid, he knows Nasus is dead, but he has no info on Kayn or Seraphine, and they easily collapse on him because he's way overextended. Now, if his teammates were out on the map pressuring other towers or objectives, then they could react to the space Swain has created, but they're not. They're stuck defending base, which means there's nothing to gain from this. Which brings us to point number 3. Focus pushing the opposite lane lane to the next objective. Simply, if it's dragon, push top lane. If it's baron, push bot lane. The reason you want to push the opposite side of the map is to force the enemy to make a decision that your team can respond to. If dragon is up and I'm pushing bot lane, then the enemy can just send everyone towards the bottom half of the map. They can force me back or collapse on me on their way to dragon, potentially even taking me out of the fight if I'm not careful. But if I'm instead pushing top lane, then the decision for the enemy team is a lot harder, and this is solo queue, so not everyone's on the same page, causing confusion and influencing bad decision making. Having a TP makes all of this easier, but it's still possible without it. You just have to read the play in advance rather than TPing in response. So you shove the wave, expecting the enemy response to rotate to you, but you've already rotated away to the objective, and now you have a 10-second or so window of opportunity to force the major objective.
And remember, this is just the tip of the iceberg. All of the concepts you've learned about today are covered in way more depth on our website through our courses and live commentaries. It's not just top lane, there's fundamental and advanced courses that apply to all roles like vision mastery, trading, wave control, and macro to make your climb easy. So if you're ready to begin your climb, sign up today, risk-free with our money-back guarantee.
And there you have it, everything you need to know to become a top lane raid boss and carry your solo queue games.